I went to Boyd, but Boyd graduate, and so if you're supporting me, you're supporting our local law school, you're supporting hardworking families, and you're supporting someone that's going to have the right perspective.
Welcome everybody to our Nevada Judges, and today you are our first candidate from North Las Vegas.
Oh, I'm honored.
We have Courtney Ketter,
Yes,
right?
that's correct.
And you are running for the Municipal Court in North Las Vegas,
Yes.
Department 2.
That is correct.
The question that I always ask people that are running for judge, why would you want to be a judge? I mean, that has got to be a really tough job.
It is.
I mean,
It
you are
is.
making decisions about people's lives, and so why would you want to do that?
That's a great question. It's probably the most common question that I've gotten since I've been campaigning, and for me, it's really about service. In my opinion, every elected official is a public servant, and I feel like in the judiciary, in particular, we've kind of forgotten that. We've kind of gotten away from that, and you have judges that seem to think that they are entitled to the seat, and for me, it's all about public service. I've always been someone that's very interested in working with and serving the community. I'm a volunteer basketball coach. I've been a volunteer baseball coach. I've been a volunteer truancy diversion judge at some of the local junior highs and high schools in North Las Vegas. And so this is kind of the next step in serving the community for me. I had someone recently say, well, why not serve in the legislature, some other area? And quite frankly, I do still really love and enjoy the law. And so that's why rather than serve in that capacity, I think judge is kind of the next best step for me. And municipal court in particular, because municipal court it's first of all, you're hearing misdemeanors. Most people that are going to be cited for misdemeanors. And so you're going to have a lot more public contact working at municipal court. And so that's why that's right up my alley. That's what I want to do.
So how about a little background? Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Sure.
And your history.
Sure.
Just the good stuff. Don't
The
tell me
good
about
stuff, of course. I'm not a Las Vegas native, but I've been here for 17 years. This summer, I grew up in Los Angeles in a very poor, gang-ridden area, and my parents were
52nd in Vermont.
Oh, really?
I lived there as a kid.
Wow. So then you
100 years ago.
understand.
So I know exactly what you're
Yeah.
talking about.
I was in Inglewood in a neighborhood known as the Bottoms.
Got it.
And it was called the Bottoms for two reasons. Number one, it's
Bottom
the
of the
bottom of a hill. And then number two, if you live there, you were considered to be you're at the bottom.
Yeah.
And it was through my parents' hard work. My mom put herself through school, and it took her forever, but she finally got that bachelor's and that master's. My dad was a truck driver, and so he kind of, kept food on the table while mom went to school. And when I look back on things, and I look at it now, when she finally graduated and got her college degree, and she got a really great, SEIU union job with the County of Los Angeles, that's when things really got better for our family. We were able to move out of that neighborhood, move into a much better neighborhood in Hawthorne, California, not too far from the beach. I went to Hawthorne High School where the Beach Boys went.
Yep.
And so, looking back, I was able to kind of see that connection between their hard work, capitalizing on their opportunities, and what that did for our family. Moved here as an adult, and I've been here ever since.
Cool.
And so this is home. I've seen North Las Vegas change so much in the time that I've been there.
Seriously, yeah.
I mean, I've been there 17 years. I can imagine people who are natives,
Right.
What they've seen, but it's changed, it's grown, and I want to be part of that continued growth and that continued change. I think we need progressive judges that are willing to be compassionate for the people that come before them, and really willing to just work with the community as a whole to keep it safe.
The city itself has come a long way.
Yes.
I mean, take a look at Craig Ranch.
Yes.
I mean,
Yes.
and what's happened there. And I mean, North Las Vegas is actually just a few blocks from here, right on the other side of Decatur.
Yeah.
That's North Las Vegas. So, and it has grown. I mean, I lived here in the late 50s, early 60s when I was a kid.
Oh,
after
wow.
we left LA, came here, and then went back to LA. But at that time, North Las Vegas was like, if you lived in North Las Vegas, you had leprosy. The only thing, the only thing that was out there was Nellis, of
Right.
course. And so do you think that your background coming from where you came from and your experience with your parents can help you when you're making a judgment on somebody that's standing in front of you?
Absolutely. I think particularly in a city like North Las Vegas, right? I think North Las Vegas, you have very hardworking families, families that are really proud of what they've worked for and what they have established. And I think my background, coming from that, again, my parents kind of worked their way up. They instilled that in me. I put myself through law school, and the things that I have, I've worked really hard for. And I think that's important. I've been using this key word my whole campaign: perspective. We need judges that have the right perspective. And I think in a city like North Las Vegas, which now is the most diverse city that we have in the state, not just the valley, but the
Right.
state, you need a judge that is going to be able to relate to everyone that comes before him. And I think because of my personal and professional experience, I can do that. And I do family law and criminal law. And so as a family law attorney, I've dealt with people who've had millions of dollars worth of assets. And on the criminal side, I've had homeless clients that are schizophrenic.
Right.
I've been able to relate to both of them. And the key to that is respect. I treat everyone with respect and dignity, no matter what their situation is, no matter what their background is, no matter what they may be accused of criminally, no matter what they may be going through on the family side. And I think that's the key, is if you show people proper respect, allow them to have a voice and be heard, at the end of the day, even if you're giving them bad news, which sometimes as an attorney I have to, right? I'm always
yeah.
upfront, and I have to tell them, hey, this isn't going to go our way, and here are the reasons why. As long as you can give them those valid reasons, and you're doing it in a respectful way, people are able to receive that. And so I think that's going to serve me well on the bench, because I can tell people, hey, you weren't successful today. I did find you guilty, but here are the reasons why, and here's my sentence. And I think if doing that in a respectful way, they'll be able to receive and respect that.
I had the opportunity to appear before a judge some years back. Just happened to be in traffic court, but I'm not going to say her name, but you know who you are. I was probably 15th or 16th. There were that many people ahead
Yeah.
of me, and by the time I got up in front of the judge, and I was wrong. I had done wrong in the traffic, but I felt very comfortable standing in front of her because I thought that she treated everyone that stepped up in front of her with respect.
Sure.
And I don't care how old they were, how young they were, what they looked like. She was, and I just thought, okay, I'm going to get a fair deal here.
Yeah,
Exactly. And I did. I thought that when I walked out of that courtroom, I thought that was fair.
There you
I
go.
can't complain, and that's not easy to do.
No, it's not. It's
because
not.
we all want to think. But so, and you said that you practice family law here.
Yes, sir. Yes.
That's a tough one.
Yes, it is.
That's a tough one. You practice in the family court here.
I do.
Good
I do.
God.
Yeah. So I do custody, divorce, CPS cases, guardianship, you name it. I've probably done it on the family side, and I really enjoy it, because I feel like when you're working with families and you're improving the lives of families, I mean, you can't get any more,
Right.
invested in community service than that, right?
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, our community is made up of individuals and families, and so if you can improve their lives, then our community is better for it. And so that's why I really enjoy that work. It's one of the reasons why like I said, I'm a volunteer basketball coach, because I enjoy working with children and
Right.
hopefully giving them lessons that they're going to be able to use, not just on the court, but off the court, and
Right.
in their everyday lives. And again, that's just the kind of guy I am. It's all about service. It's all about the community. And I believe as a judge, you have a duty. You do have a duty to engage with the community. You do have a duty to continually remain engaged. Too often when it comes to these elections, you see politicians all over the place. They're everywhere. Every function, every event. But then post-election, they retreat back to their comfort, and you never see them again. I'm not going to be that type of judge, because at the end of the day, if I can't interact with the public and know what's important to them, and know what ongoing issues they have, how can I then serve them on the bench?
You're going to lose touch.
Absolutely. You're going to lose touch. I love how you put that.
That's most important, is staying in touch with your constituents,
Absolutely.
so to speak. So what do you like most about the law? What's the one thing about the law? If I said, okay, gun to your head, I won't do that, but gun to your head, tell me the one thing that you love about working in the law.
The one thing I love is the impact that it can have. That's number one, and I guess 1A would be the fact that it truly can be, or should be, shall we say, colorblind. It shouldn't see religion. It shouldn't see politics. The law is just, it's the law. And unfortunately, and we know this, that isn't always true.
Right.
You know, not every attorney practices that way, not every judge rules that way. And that's one of the reasons why I'm running is I believe that the people in North Las Vegas deserve a fair, impartial judge that's going to treat everyone the same, that's going to hold everyone accountable in the courtroom, including myself.
Yeah.
You know, again, as a public servant, if I'm not living up to my job, vote me out. And that's what I love about the law is it can bring justice for any and everyone that comes in a courtroom, whether they've got millions of dollars worth of assets or whether they're homeless. You know, the facts and the circumstances in the law are going to determine whether or not, you know, you're guilty or something, or you win or you lose, not your money, your social economic standing, you know, your status in the community. And that's what I love about the law.
Okay, then what's the one thing that you hate about it?
Probably on the flip side.
I was just gonna say.
Yeah, probably the flip side is that it really can have long lasting effects on people, and we don't always. And I say we as a you know, the legal
As a group,
community,
yeah.
we don't always take that into account. You know, incarceration can have a devastating effect on people. You know, someone can spend a couple of days in jail and now they've lost their employment, which is going to cause them to lose their home, their vehicle, you know, maybe access to their children. I mean, it's a true domino effect. And I think quite honestly, we're too casual in that approach. We're too casual in recognizing what that does to people. And so I think we do need to get away from the idea of incarceration being first and look at that as, you know, jail is always going to be there as an option.
Sure,
Right?
right.
They're not closing the jail. And so as a judge, you can always go that route. My opinion is that we should give people opportunities. Like I said earlier, you know, when I look back on what my parents did getting us out of that situation, it's because they had opportunities. In this country, we talk so much about hard work. You know, if you just work hard, you can do anything, accomplish anything. But that's not really true.
Yeah, I know.
Right? Because
That's
some of the hardest working people I know are still struggling financially,
Right.
and have very tough situations.
Because there is no level playing field at this point.
Exactly.
And-
Because they
and
don't have those opportunities.
Right.
And so as a judge, I want to give people the opportunity to address their issues through specialty courts. North Las Vegas last year started their care court, which is a specialty court, so you can address, you know, mental health issues, substance abuse, lack of resources. And that's how you really keep the community safe, is by addressing the reasons for people's criminality, right?
Preventative.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. You know, if I incarcerate someone that's been trespassing at a certain location, I put them in jail for 30 days. The reasons that led to that trespass are still there when they get out in 30
That's right.
days. But if I can divert them, you know, through a specialty court, get them resources, give them a reason to stay off the street, now they don't have to go back to that location. So now I've kept that location safe, and I've given that person an opportunity to go on and do better for themselves. And I think we forget that as a society too, is that people that come before judges, you know, defendants, they're still citizens. They're
Right.
still citizens of the community. Their families are citizens, their children, their friends and family. And so we have to, it's not just about keeping, you know, the victims safe and improving their lives. It's about also doing the same for defendants. And in my court, I want to do that. Now, that isn't to say, again, that everyone's just going to get a, you know, we're going to send you to
No,
special
no,
court.
I understand. I mean, if we put as much money into the education system as we put into the prison system, we could alleviate a lot of those
Absolutely.
issues.
Absolutely.
And that's one of my pet peeves, one of
Yes.
my crusades, I guess you'd say.
It's a good crusade to have.
Yeah, we need to educate our young people,
Yes.
and not just teach them how to pass tests.
Yes.
You know, how to live in an everyday life, and you know, even getting down to changing a tire, changing the oil, how to cook a meal.
Right.
You know, that kind of thing that is worthwhile everyday attributes of being a member of the community.
Absolutely.
And getting a little more active in man, we're all in this together.
Absolutely.
And so why not help each other out and help each other, lift each other up instead of beating each other down all the time.
Yeah.
So anyway, sorry.
Yeah. No,
I'm
I
not
couldn't
running for
agree more.
anything. I keep saying that. I know I'm not going to run, I promise.
Yeah. No, but I think what you just said is very true. We're, in this country, we're so divided, nowadays. And when you get down to it, we actually have, all of us have much more in common than we do, as far as differences.
Duh.
But we tend to focus so much on the differences, and I think that's what I want to do, with my courtroom, is kind of, strip all those other things away. Again, your religion isn't going to matter when you walk in there. Your political, leanings. It's just going to be about, what are the facts, what are the circumstances, how can we move this along, how can we address this so that the victims are going to be safe, we can address the defendant's issues, and at the end of the day, the community is going to be safer. That's it. I think if we all kind of keep that goal at the forefront of our minds, we can make this place much better.
One thing that I've heard, input that I've heard from attorneys when they're getting ready to go into court, the thing that is most difficult for them is going before a judge that is not prepared to hear the case.
Yes.
For whatever reason, whether they're too busy, the caseload is just too much and they don't have the time, but how are you going to prevent that from happening in your courtroom?
Taking notes. I deal with that, and it is frustrating, and ultimately, it's a disservice to the litigants. Because if you have to go in there and every time I have to rehash and get the judge caught up, now we've wasted 2-3 minutes that we could actually be, trying to resolve things. One of the things that I do is I take notes. I take those notes, and then I review those notes before my next hearing.
Right.
I had the pleasure of clerking for Judge Frank P. Sullivan at Family Court. Great judge, and that's one of the things I learned from him is he knew every case. When he walked into the courtroom, he had reviewed the notes. I was his law clerk, so I pull his notes. I would pull, prior minutes, court reports. He would read and review everything. So when he walked in, he already knew what this side's argument was and their issues were, what this side's argument and issues were, and he could say, okay, I've already addressed, I know what the problem is with 1, 2, and 3. Tell me about, 4. And I think that number one, as an attorney, you do appreciate a judge that takes the time to read those things because we put a lot of time into it. Right? Yeah.
That you had to prepare that.
Absolutely.
And what's the point of going through all this if you're not even going to read it?
If you're not even going to read it. Yeah. And then number two, I think it keeps you on your toes as an attorney. Right? If I know that, hey, I got to be on my A game when I go in front of Judge so-and-so because they are going to read everything. They are going to know what all the issues are. And so it raises the level of everyone's game. And I think ultimately that's what's best for the litigants is that they have a good competent judge that knows the issues. They have good competent attorneys that are going to argue the pertinent issues. At the end of the day, they're going to get the best results, right? It's like cooking, right? If you're kind of sloppy with your measurements, dinner might not turn out too great, but if you're very precise and you're paying attention to things, you're going to get a better result.
I can dig it. So I don't think in municipal court this would really affect you, but there's a lot of deal making going on behind the scenes before you actually get into court, plea bargaining and that kind of thing. What is your thought on that? I mean, is that it seems to me that a lot of times by doing that, you're not really getting the full power or effect of the law.
Sure. So, especially in criminal court, I think the number is something like 97% of cases are dealt, and so it is a very common practice.
Right.
One of the things in criminal court that kind of bothers me about it is it's usually done because of jail, right? Everyone knows either there's the threat of jail or maybe they're already in jail, and so now people will take deals just simply to get out, not because they're actually guilty.
Right.
It's because, hey, I got to get out of here. And I think again, that's where what I said earlier. We need to really look at incarceration? Why are we incarcerating people for things like trespass and, in other words, nonviolent offenses? I think those are the only cases that we should truly be incarcerating people. And so I think how you can address that is, again, don't incarcerate people for things like trespass. Now, if I have someone who is a frequent flyer and they're,
Yeah,
a
no, no,
repeat
no.
offender,
That's a different story.
that's different.
But
But in general, you release people, allow them to negotiate, because when they're in custody, that pressure to take the deal is much stronger.
sure.
As a defense attorney, I've had clients that I'm discussing cases with them, and they're telling me, I didn't do this, but I got to get out of here. And
Yeah.
I say, well, I don't want you to plead to something that you didn't do.
Sure,
And their
because that
response
affects
is,
you for the rest of your life.
Of course, of course.
and depending on the severity.
Yeah.
But even so, that gives you a record, and then
Right, now you have a record.
I
And,
know a
and
lot
they
of
don't-
people in
yeah.
that situation. So,
Exactly. Yeah, there's consequences that come with that. But at the end of the day, if the client says, listen, I want to accept this deal, truth be damned,
yeah.
we have to do it. And so,
Well, and that's you represent them,
Sure.
and that's your job
Sure.
is to do what the client wants.
Absolutely.
Even if it isn't in their own best interest.
Absolutely.
Even if you've slapped them around a little bit and say, hey,
yeah, say, listen, hey, the facts are in your favor. But, again, with that specter of incarceration either already in play or they know looming, a lot of times people will take deals. And again, that's why we need to look at, our incarceration rate. I mean, in the United States, our rate is so much higher than everyone else in the country.
the entire world.
Excuse me, the entire world. And we need to look at that. We need to address that.
Cool. So this is your chance to tell people a little bit about you, why you should, what do you want them to know? What do you want the voters to know about you? So when they go into the voter booth, they tick off your name.
I think the most important thing that I want the voters to know is what I said earlier, that at the end of the day, I'm all about community. I've spent my entire career, as an adult, working with and serving the community. When I first moved to Las Vegas, I worked for the Department of Family Services as a caseworker. Then I became a juvenile probation officer. And then I had an agency working with children that have emotional and mental issues. So it's what I've always done, and it's what I want to continue to do. I've spoken already about the specialty courts in North Las Vegas. I want to bolster those. I want to give up people the opportunity to address their reasons for criminality. I think that's how we actually keep the community safe. Incarcerating people and having a revolving door at municipal court, it doesn't work.
Yeah.
And we see that.
And it's expensive.
And it's expensive. Crime is on the rise, and most citizens don't realize that it costs municipality between $150 and $200 a day to incarcerate one person.
Right.
Again,
And you can stay in some nice hotels for that price.
absolutely, yeah. You can
With room
have
service.
yeah, and have a nice little meal.
Yeah.
And so we have other options. There is another way to deal with the rising crime rate, and that's how we do it, through specialty courts. Again, if we can stop people from committing crimes, then we can actually keep the community safe. Incarcerating them for 30 days, 45, 60, whatever, and then letting them back out, those same issues are going to be there.
Yeah.
I want to address those issues. Again, something I said earlier, I have the right perspective for this job, professionally and personally. Again, I think my personal background, someone who's worked for everything that I have, is going to lend itself well to the bench, because I'm going to be able to relate to every single person that comes in the courtroom before me. I mean, that I'll be able to find some level that we can relate on.
Right.
And I think that's important, because that's how you humanize people. That's how you put yourself in their shoes, and you're able to kind of give them those opportunities. And then professionally, currently, right now, one of the things I do, I'm a defense attorney in a municipal court, Las Vegas Municipal Court. I was a prosecutor in a municipal court, in Las Vegas Municipal Court. And so I've seen how specialty courts work. I'm not just speaking from theory.
Right.
I've literally walked people from the courtroom to a family drug court session, introduced them to Judge Sullivan, introduced them to the drug court coordinator, and say, hey, this is so-and-so, they need help. I followed up. I was one of the only attorneys that I can remember that would go on Tuesdays to those family drug court sessions and check in with my client. Hey, how's it going? Talk to the judge, talk to the coordinator. And so I'm not just speaking, theoretically
No, no,
about
no,
what I
I
think
understand.
specialty courts can do. I'm speaking from my professional experience. I've seen them work, and we just got to be willing to pull together and support it, and have a judge that's going to support it, has a judge that has the right perspective. And again, I think that's me. I'm a local kid, sort of adopted. I went to Boyd, but Boyd graduate, and so if you're supporting me, you're supporting our local law school, you're supporting hardworking families, and you're supporting someone that's going to have the right perspective.
Now, here comes my spiel. You guys have heard it before. One of the reasons that we do this is because we want you to be an educated voter. And we want you to go into the voting ballot box and vote all the way down the ticket. A lot of people go in there and they'll get halfway down, and I don't know who these guys are. So yeah, I'll vote all women. I'll vote all men. I'll vote everybody who's in the second half of the alphabet. I saw his sign on the way here. These people affect your daily lives every single day. The judges, the sheriffs, the school board, the assessor, all of these people affect your daily lives, your city council. So these are more important to vote for than any of the other people on the ballot. I mean, the others are going to affect your life, but not to the daily grind that the people on the down ballot, what I call the down ballot, not the bottoms ballot.
Yeah, not the bottom. Just
But
down.
so please, if you're going to take the time to vote, at least vote the whole ticket.
Yes.
Vote all the way down, and take at least one person with you when you go to vote.
There you go.
And if you can take 35, that's even better. So, anything else you'd like to that I missed or that you want to make sure everybody knows?
I think you hit it right on the head. Local elections matter so much. It's a non-presidential election, and so we need people to still be
More so now.
engaged, get out and vote. Early voting starts May 28th through June 10th, and then the general election, or excuse me, the primary election is June 14th. I will be on that ballot, and so go out and vote.
Excellent. There is one thing that you've forgotten that I think is extremely important that you bring up at this point.
How to contact me.
There you go.
You can contact me on my website, www.Ketter, that's my last name, the number 4judge.com. There you can find some more information about my background. If you want to get engaged, you want to volunteer, you want to come knock doors with us, you want to donate, all that information is there. And again, May 28th through June 10th is early voting. We also have the luxury of mail-in ballots here in Nevada, so take advantage of that.
Awesome.
Absolutely. There's no reason not to vote.
The reason that I love the mail-in ballots is because I can sit down at the kitchen table.
Yes.
I can go through the ballot, and I can take the time to go through and see who these people are.
Absolutely.
And it just, and then, hey, I may spend a couple of hours doing it.
Sure.
But it's just bang, And then last time we had to take them down and drop them off and make sure everything was done. But still, that's great.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's a wonderful option. We're lucky to have it here in Nevada. And I'm hoping that that's going to get people more engaged in the voting process.
I hope so too. So maybe have a big voting party or something like
That's a
that.
good idea. That's a
Let's
good
all get
idea.
down there and
Yeah.
don't drink. Can't drink. But
No. Have a big party and start from the bottom.
that's right.
Fill your ballot out from the bottom up.
Thank you,
Thank you for having me.
Counselor. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you all for watching. And please, you know what to do. Get out there and vote.